You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. LSU beats Arkansas 34-31, and while no doubt the overwhelming majority of LSU fans that were watching that game on Saturday are thrilled that the Tigers found a way to win that game, there is still one gigantic concern, which we all know is this team's Achilles heel, which is its suspect defense, and more specifically, its secondary. This LSU pass defense right now is objectively very bad. They got burned against Florida State. They were abused for the first quarter against Grambling. Played a fantastic game against a questionable Mississippi State team. What exactly they're trying to do there with Kevin Barbay and Will Rogers in that offense is head-scratching. But you're looking at a team, though, defensively that went out there against KJ Jefferson in Arkansas. Dan Enos calling plays that had a very good plan and were able to stretch the field and give LSU a lot of fits. Arkansas on the day, KJ Jefferson, 289 through the air with 3 touchdowns, 426 yards of total offense for Arkansas. Tigers couldn't get off the field. Arkansas was 8 of 13 on third down. They converted their only fourth down attempt, which, of course, was the fake field goal that they were able to get down to the 11-yard line. If there's something that I'll say for the LSU defense, it's that in the red zone on Saturday, they were opportunistic. We saw 3 different times where Arkansas was in the red zone and settled for a field goal. They got down to the 1-yard line, the 5-yard line, the 11-yard line, and all 3 times LSU pushed them back and the Hogs had to settle for field goals. If those were 7s instead of 3s, Arkansas wins by double digits. But the defense made plays in those moments where they had to, and you hope that LSU can find a way to build on that. Well, post-game on Saturday, and literally every LSU fan I've talked to on every platform since then has kind of all said the same thing. It's been questioning Matt House, his defense, and how they can possibly get better. And my answer pretty consistently has been, I don't know that they can. And it's not a defeatist mentality. It's looking at a realistic situation. If you're sitting there thinking, well, try something different, they have. Week 1, we saw Harold Perkins play an off-ball linebacker. They very quickly learned from that mistake and moved him back to that nickel Sam role, his more natural role, and Harold Perkins is and has been since then filling up the stat sheet. Just this past Saturday, you could say or feel like he didn't have a big day, but Harold Perkins had 5 tackles, he had a sack, 1.5 TFLs, and 2 forced fumbles. The play right before half where he hit KJ Jefferson, he knocked the ball loose. KJ just fell on the ball. So Perkins has been certainly more effective in that role. Yes, there are going to be times where Perkins is in coverage because smart teams are going to scheme numbers to make him have to go cover. But there's also going to be plays where he's effective rushing the passer, and that's where he's better. They very quickly put Greg Penn back at inside linebacker, and with Omar Spates out, we've seen Whit Weeks emerge. Those are undeniably your 2 best players in the middle of your defense. Greg Penn had 12 tackles, a TFL, a sack, a pass breakup. As a matter of fact, the pass breakup in the third quarter that Greg Penn had, where it was actually in the fourth quarter, where he knocked down the ball at the line of scrimmage, they were running a pop pass to the tight end where the tight end just releases right over the middle. And from the TV cut, you could not see a safety in the screen. If Greg Penn doesn't knock that ball down and have that recognition, there's a chance that Arkansas scores a touchdown on that play. Now, they scored later that drive anyway, but I digress. We have seen Deshaun Womack inserted at left defensive end in pass rush situations in the dime package. We've seen Ryan Yates go in at free in dime packages and bring Major Burns into the box. Major Burns led you with 12 tackles, tied with Greg Penn with 12 tackles. We have seen Braden Swinson at the jack linebacker spot, replacing Ovi Agofu. He's been more effective there. We've seen a defensive tackle rotation. Parrish Shand, the Arizona transfer, was playing left defensive end in camp. They're playing him at tackle in some of these speed packages. So my point is, we've seen Denver Harris inserted as a starting quarterback. They have tried. They have shifted personnel. They are trying different looks. Like, they are trying a lot of different things, which is why I asked Brian Kelly today in his press conference, in the way I phrased it intentionally the way I did to see which direction he would go. But I started by saying, a few weeks back, Brian Kelly told us they have to lean on more than just their 11. They have to get into some of their depth. And clearly they have. After the Florida State game, he's like, we got to play more guys defensively. And they have. But in spite of that, your defense has still struggled. So do you have anybody else on the bench that you could go to? Or is this it? Are you rolling with who you got? This is how he started the answer.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's anybody else that we would bring into the game. We'd like to get, obviously everybody healthy, getting all of the guys out there physically. Spates obviously is one guy that we'd like to get back out on the field. I think there's some other tweaks that we can do defensively to see that we get guys in the right position and let them influence the game accordingly. So there's not another guy that, let's take a red shirt off of a particular player or another guy that's going to get in the rotation. You might see some players play a little bit more.
So don't expect the cavalry to be on the way. There's nobody else on the bench they feel like right now that gives them a better chance to be successful defensively than who they got. So then the very obvious follow-up then is like, well, how much better can the guys that you have, how much better can they get? And that's where Brian Kelly, as he was going through that answer, you could tell his mind went to that, and here's what he said.
We have to do the ordinary things extraordinarily well. And I know that's an overused cliche that we hear so many times, but we're having a tendency of trying to chase too many plays on defense. And what I mean by that, we're trying to make plays that are really not our place to make, and we just need to do our job. And I think once we settle down and just do the ordinary things extraordinarily well, this can be a really good defense because it's shown itself to have resiliency and toughness and the players necessary to do that.
Okay. Do the ordinary things extraordinarily well. And this can be a good defense. And they've shown it at times. They were really good against Mississippi State. I just referenced those situations in the red zone. Arkansas's first red zone possession, their second possession of the game. They have a goal to go at the 7-yard line. KJ Jefferson runs for 2 yards. They throw a pass over the middle. Major Burns, big stick right at the goal line and keeps the receiver from getting in. Then on 3rd and goal from inside the 1, false start. 3rd and 5, LSU forces the incompletion. Arkansas settles for a 23-yard field goal. Y'all, after the fake field goal, they got the ball at the 11-yard line. Mekhi Wingo comes up with a big play to stop KJ Jefferson for a gain of 2. On 2nd down, Whit Weeks, he flushes KJ. Mekhi Wingo comes up with the sack. It's 3rd and 16 from the 17-yard line. Deshaun Womack comes up with the sack. You pushed them back. They have been opportunistic at time. I'm not sitting here I ain't painting, sunshine and roses here, y'all. I'm not telling you this defense is great. What I'm telling you is this defense, which has been much maligned, has had great moments. And you can see some of the potential, but you also see some of the head scratching. Brian Kelly referenced it. Look, and Jacques Doucet, by the way, asked Brian Kelly about that Major Burns play. Right there. The question was about the Major Burns tackle on that second possession at the 1-yard line. It saved a touchdown because Major Burns makes the tackle at the 1. The next play, they have the false start, then the incomplete, they force a field goal. If he's not a sure tackler, that's a touchdown. But when he was asked about that play, about Major Burns, the question was about Major Burns. Listen to where Brian Kelly took it again.
And I think that's kind of, some of the things that we're talking about is that we're not perfect. We've got a long way to go. This group really cares, and they play hard. We just need to get our guys to do the ordinary things extraordinarily well. And if they do, and we stay away from some of these self-inflicted wounds, I like what we have going. So our meeting is going to be one where we're going to show them some of the things that they have done when 11 guys are doing their job. It's when we get outside and try to do some other things because we're getting those kinds of effort plays from our guys.
Said it again. We've got to do the ordinary extraordinarily well. Now, easier said than done. Look, a great example of that was the 59-yard touchdown. You remember the scenario if you were watching the game. LSU gets that stop after the fake field goal, forces Arkansas into a field goal attempt, and maintains lead. So LSU's up 17-16. Tigers put together a touchdown drive. LSU's up 8. It's 24-16. You're going into the fourth quarter. They get back-to-back false starts. It's 1st and 20. Braden Swinson hits KJ Jefferson's arm. Looks like a fumble. For some unknown reason, they rule it an incomplete pass. Then they got a 3rd and 6, and Zy Alexander sees KJ rolling right and sprints toward KJ Jefferson, leaving his man, boom, over the top, 59-yard touchdown. Brian Kelly pointed out that as an example of things that they can do better. Number 10.
This is not about one singular play. This is about staying focused all the time, doing your job. And he lost sight and in terms of what he should have been doing on that particular play. What's really important here is, more than anything else, our players can't be trying to make plays. He saw the quarterback as a run threat. That's not his job. His job was to be the deep half defender. Go do your job. There's somebody else assigned to him. And we just have to be consistent with that. And nobody has patience with that. But we do have some young players out there that sometimes we have to understand that the learning curve, there's a little bit of it going on right now.
Zy Alexander isn't a young player, but he is a new player. And I'm not putting this all on Zy Alexander. That's just one example that Brian Kelly happened to talk about today. But isn't that sort of an illustration of what he's saying? It's 3rd and 6. You've pressured KJ Jefferson, moving him to the sideline. If Zy Alexander just stays with the tight end, KJ's going out of bounds. He's going to be knocked short of the first down. They're punting. Instead, it's a 59-yard touchdown, which ties the game at 24. They get the 2-point conversion. They tied at 24. You heard Brian Kelly say, do your job. Do the simple, do the ordinary things in an extraordinary way. I'm not telling you, y'all, I'm not painting this thing with sunshine and roses. I'm not telling you that this is going to be an elite defense. What I'm telling you is there's some things there that are fixable, like the play we just talked about, and there are moments that have been really good. Just talked about the defensive line blowing up Arkansas after the fake field goal. As bad as it seems at times with this defense, and it seems bad, and it is bad at times, they're 68th in the country in pass defense at 228 yards a game. Doesn't it feel much worse? They're smack dab in the middle of the country in pass defense. It feels much worse. They're smack dab in the middle. Can you go from 68th to 58th? If you do that, you're right where the 2019 LSU team was, with Derek Stingley and Christian Fulton as your corners. Again, this team, their path to winning is pretty clear. You are elite offensively. Some of y'all, for whatever reason, don't want to hear that or believe that, but you are. Your offensive line is really good. You got a bevy of talented backs. You got a fifth-year senior at quarterback who just had a quote-unquote bad game and won SEC Offensive Player of the Week, threw for 320 and 4 touchdowns, completed 70% of his passes on a bad day. Y'all, your offense, great receivers. Your offense is great. Score and be good enough on defense. There's not a team on your schedule you can't beat. Can they continue to replicate that and do some of those simple things better? That's it. There is no other path. This isn't going to be a top 10 defense in the country. But can they be better than they are? Yes. And that's challenging. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.